Welcome to the WOTHMEN. My name is PJ Yench. Tonight we've got a lot of information to go over. Occupy G8 Summit going on today, tomorrow. Protests have been going on for about a week. We're going to start off with a clip of young man tearing down the banner of the NATO Summit. So, there's been a lot of police brutality down there. At least 45 people have been arrested, just on Sunday alone. Audry Campbell, a member of Occupy Boulder, who I know personally, was hit in the face by a billy club while protesting at the G8 Summit. Here's a picture of her afterwards. I think it's really hard to justify hitting a girl in the face with a billy club for anyone. I don't know what your views are, but, I think the only reason I can imagine a police officer would hit a girl in the face with a billy club is to provoke violence from the men around her, or her, or the girls around her, or whoever. Because, when you see someone who is obviously stronger and more well-armed, brutalizing a woman or a child or anyone, it makes you very upset. And my first reaction is often to respond in kind. And I know at a peaceful protest, that's the one thing that will give the police an excuse to do whatever they want if you act violently back. And so, Chicago PD, shame on you for being a bunch of brutes in uniform. Here's some more clips of the police brutality that's been going on down there.
Maybe over an hour ago here, where it appears that a member of the protest group was struck by a Chicago police vehicle. There has been some video that has been uploaded by members of the protest group.
Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. This battle line's being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds. We're getting so much resistance from behind. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody.
This particular clip, I think, really illustrates the brutality of the actions of the Chicago Police Department. In this clip, there's a young man who is in the middle of the crowd, and a Chicago police van hits him going about 20 miles an hour and doesn't stop. He continues. The man is fortunately not run over. He's able to kind of maintain balance in front of the van, but you'll see it's incredible. That anyone would do this if I did that with my car, if I just went out and got in a car and hit somebody going 20 or 30 and just kept going. I'd be arrested. I'd be thrown in jail for attempted murder. 3 members of Occupy Chicago G8 have been charged with domestic terrorism. The charges say that they were trying to make Molotov cocktails and were planning on using them against several buildings in Chicago, namely Rahm Emanuel's house. And from what I gather, having listened to a lot of news reports and read a lot of news reports on the subject, is that the only people who were planning to do any damage to Rahm Emanuel's house or any other buildings in Chicago were the police plants who were trying to instigate them to act violently. And that they were not, in fact, trying to make Molotov cocktails, but the owners of the house were brewing beer. So take a look at this clip.
While world leaders gather in the U.S. for 2 important summits, police in Chicago arrest 3 activists they say plan to violently disrupt the upcoming NATO summit there. The 3 men are being charged with domestic terrorism. Their bail has been set at $1.5 million each. Among their targets, according to Chicago police, President Obama's Chicago campaign headquarters.
He's still quite shaken from being held by police for nearly a day. Darren Anusek explains what he says it was like to be shackled for 18 hours without an attorney to speak to or a place to go to the bathroom.
We were handcuffed to a bench and our legs were shackled together. We were not told what was happening.
Darren was part of a group that marched here from Philadelphia. He was staying with these 3 Bridgeport residents as part of a couch surfing deal. When their apartment at 32nd and Morgan was raided by police Wednesday night, 9 of their guests were arrested, suspected of conspiracy.
They came in with guns drawn, broke into a unit that was not housing protesters in order to get to another unit in the building that was housing protesters.
The hosting tenants today say the accusations of Molotov cocktails in their home is preposterous. It's beer-making supplies that police found.
If anybody would like some, I would like to offer to the entire universe a sip of my beer. I have 2 different kinds of beer right now, an India Pale Ale and a Stout.
I believe very strongly in nonviolence, and if I had seen anything that even resembled, or any plans or anything like that, I would not have been there.
These activists asked us today to ask the city why were they held, to which the superintendent told reporters,
"We're not going to talk about it. We just are not going to talk about it. It's an ongoing investigation."
Last night at approximately 11:30, the Chicago Police Department broke down a door without a warrant, without permission to enter, and they broke into a residence of an apartment that was not an activist in order to gain entry to a second apartment unit where there were multiple activists staying, Occupy activists. There were 2 people detained in the first raid. No warrant was provided. They were questioned and then broke into the second apartment unit, and 9 activists were taken in custody. They're being held right here in the Organized Crime Division of the Chicago Police Department. We've been trying all morning and all afternoon to locate these people. We've called police officials at every level trying to find out where they were being held. We were denied any information at all about any people being arrested, let alone a raid happening last night. So essentially these people were disappeared for more than 12 hours until we could finally locate them. They came back, the police, 4 hours later, and provided what they claimed was a search warrant. It was shown to the tenants of the building, but not provided, not given to them, and there appeared to be no signature by a judge. So it's questionable what kind of documentation they were given. According to testimony that they just provided here, they're peaceful, they have no plans of criminal activity. Police seized beer-making equipment and a cell phone, apparently, possibly among other items, but no indication that any criminal evidence was seized. And police are still, to this moment, denying that they have anyone in custody or that any raid happened. They mentioned that the arrestees are stressed and confused. They don't know why they were arrested, and they're currently being held shackled hand and feet, and we have no idea why. In the United States, we should be protected under the Constitution from unlawful search and seizure. It's not okay that police come in, break down a door without a warrant, arrest people, and take them away and not indicate where they're being held or anything about their situation. So, I mean, maybe that happens in other countries, but it certainly shouldn't happen in the United States, and that's why police need to be held accountable. They need probable cause to come into a residence. They certainly need permission to search a residence if they don't have a warrant. And if they're going to violate people's rights, then we're going to hold them accountable.
So the owner of the house is brewing beer, and the police, for some reason, target these people and first try to convince them to do damage to buildings in Chicago, and then, when they're unsuccessful, charge them with terrorism that they never attempted to or physically could have committed. Now, they were also accused of having swords and throwing stars, which, I mean, as terrorist weapons, that's kind of ridiculous. This isn't the 1400s. Assassins don't go around carrying a scimitar. Second of all, what seems to be happening is that they're targeting these guys for a reason. A few days before this, the same people were pulled over by Chicago PD and harassed. Take a look.
Oh, is there? Oh, okay, that's fine. You guys got something planned for next week?
Not really.
No, nothing? No plans on the nothing on the horizon? No. Nothing on the horizon? No, nothing? Well, I'm just saying, if I see people with their faces covered, I'm just checking with my sergeant to make sure it's still legal, that if people walk around with their face covered with a bandana or a mask, I can lock them up.
Now I've got the clip right here. And so you hear that they're talking about the police are harassing them. They're talking about Chicago in 1969, and they say,
You like that? He knows. See, these guys know 68. You guys know about 68. See, these guys know 68. Hey, what did they say back in 68? Really close to the fucking skull. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. The guys from Florida up there. I wonder if they were scared. Still out of the fucking mind. No, get pick race out of it. I know that was. No, it was not. Okay, that was a white ass, man.
okay, now we'll beat your white ass. That is the fine officers of the Chicago Police Department, protecting and serving the banksters and the gangsters of Chicago. And the racists. Some things never change. Some things only change if you make them change yourself and you do something about it.
But God forbid they have beer-making equipment in the apartment they were staying in. I mean, it's just, it's folks, I've had them try to do this to me. Luke Rudkowski of We Are Change, founder of We Are Change. What do you make of this?
Alex, there's so much to get into, especially our coverage here. The night we got pulled over, earlier in the day, we were at the bail hearings for the NATO 3. The NATO 3 that are facing terrorist charges. We were there. We were the first ones to do a live report outside the courtroom, how this was a pure entrapment. The defense clearly stated that undercover agents supplied the explosive devices and instigated the call for violence. We were there reporting on that. A very weird situation occurred when we were live streaming later on in that day, and I have a feeling that we were almost about to be set up. We were staying with